Sano Yuji is an adventurer, fighting a monster in the forest with his tamed proud wolf and slime before he returns to the Adventurers Guild in Fastan village. In the guild, an argument is going on between the adventurers about slimes, when Yuji arrives and the receptionist, Lily, starts confronting him about failing the quest after his quick return. Yuji reveals that he completed the quest earlier this time, and draws a bunch of dryad flowers for the guild leader to buy. The leader remarks that Yuji isn't really just a monster tamer. The situation is normal until it is revealed that 10,000 monsters are charging an attack on the village. The leader initially plans to evacuate every resident, but Yuji tells them otherwise, and the adventurers get ready to defend the village from the monsters. Yuji secures intel with multiple of his slimes outside the village, and uses magic spells to set things up. Some of the slimes capture a man who was involved in this attack with the help of Dryad, a tree spirit, and the man commits suicide right after getting caught. He assigns a few slimes to back the adventurers up, and when the number of monsters in the radius increases, Yuji decides to launch a large-scale attack. Yuji tells Lily to call everyone back in the village, and retrieves his slimes before placing a barrier and using the Hellfire of Demise spell to destroy the whole area around the village. The first spell caused Yuji to stumble from the mana consumption, but when a few monsters were still left, Yuji gathered himself and did a second Hellfire spell. The monsters are defeated, but Yuji passes out from excess mana consumption. He wakes up to Lily, and the whole village is celebrating. Yuji remembers his stressful corporate job before he got transmitted to this fantasy world, and sneaks out of the village in order not to draw any more unnecessary attention, moving to Kilia. The guild leader finds a lantern in the aftermath of the battle, leading them to believe that a cult was involved in this attack. In the new town of Kilia, Yuji visits the Adventurers Guild to sign himself up, and as soon as he gets registered, he gets invited to a party to locate a dragon's nest by Rhodus, Tina, and Lisa. Yuji accepts the invitation and proves his worth as a tracker after locating wolves at a great distance. The party camps at night, and Yuji reminisces about how he woke up in this world one day as a tamer, and how he visited a hut of a deceased sorcerer, learning every single sorcery in an instant from a book to attain the rank of a sage. The slimes wake Yuji up since Rhodus had sneaked out at night. Tina and Lisa also follow Rhodus' trail, and it is revealed that Rhodus is actually a bandit who helps a cult in capturing adventurers. Lisa and Tina get located by Rhodus outside the bandit camp, but before Rhodus could harm them, Yuji freezes the entire camp with an impressive ice magic spell. The girls are impressed by Yuji's skills, and reveal that a famous bandit, Gilios, is also a part of this group. Yuji provides camping equipment to spend the night before he realizes the Blue Moon cult was actually behind the attack on Fastan. On the next day, Yuji continues his journey to locate the rock dragon, and sends his slimes ahead to clear their path of enemies. Tina and Lisa get confident in Yuji and his slime's abilities, while Yuji remembers his test to enroll as an adventurer. Yuji's test contained unusual events like the crystal being broken. Furthermore, Yuji surprised the attendant with his incantationless fire magic that got multiple times stronger when he tried it with an incantation. Back to the quest. Yuji is near the canyon where the dragon can be presumably found, but their journey takes a twist when the color of the sky changes and the giant blue dragon appears, just like in the legends. Yuji takes the girls to the nearby canyon for shelter as the slimes and Proud Wolf clear the way, and the trio ends up running into the rock dragon out of nowhere. Yuji intends to hide his abilities and carefully arranges the fight in such a way that the gust from the canyon creates a smokescreen, allowing Yuji to use the Hellfire spell, burning the whole dragon alive with only its skeleton left. The crew returns to the guild and receives a reward of a whopping 14 million coins. Yuji is invited to the meeting by Chief Rayard since he had witnessed the blue dragon with his own eyes, and he uses a skill to show everyone an accurate portrait of the dragon, leaving them in shock. The calamity of the blue dragon is discussed at the meeting, and the priest reveals the legend of the dragon and how events took place 30 years ago. The group decides to deal with the dragon as soon as possible after Yuji remarks that its size is growing continuously. The priest from the meeting reached out to Yuji. later gifting him the dagger of Kethis, a dagger that concentrates magic at its tip, remarking that it's a gift from the divine. The night arrives before the big fight, and Yuji decides to wait no longer and deal with the dragon as soon as possible, when he receives the report of the dragon's constant growth. Yuji arrives at the forest where the dragon is at, and greets the urban legend with a hellfire spell, doing nothing to its thick armor. The dragon turns out to be quite strong, and Yuji determines that the dragon is using magic from the forest to grow bigger. Yuji decides to source the hellfire spell through the dagger and stab the dragon with it. He closes the distance between himself and the dragon by using multiple spell transfers through the slimes and manages to stab the dragon in the eye, causing him a lot of damage. Yuji flies away into a cliff from the recoil, leaving his MP negative. Yuji still continues with the attacks and plans to deliver another blow to the dragon despite his state. He closes in near the dragon's neck and this time delivers a clean blow, destroying the legendary blue dragon by himself. Yuji is informed by Rayard that the dragon was defeated, and it clearly seems that Rayard is aware of the truth despite what he says. Yuji has lunch with Tina and Lisa, who tell him to continue being an adventurer and move towards the village of Ricardo, since it's a peaceful place. Yuji trusts the words of the girls and leaves for Ricardo. And on his way, he meets Dryad. Dryad informs Yuji about the mushrooms formed by a thing called Dragon Grace, and offers to make his potions to restore his magic and improve his sage skills. The color of the potion initially comes out wrong, but Yuji uses his skills to help in the distillation of the potion, while remembering how he met Dryad initially in a forest where he helped recover her forest magic that was stolen by a crystal. Dryad successfully makes the potions and returns to her forest after giving Yuji a goodbye hug. He continues his journey and runs into a suspicious village named the Village of Messiahs, which is covered in fog. The village chief offers Yuji food and an overnight stay, but Yuji declines, claiming that he is just lost and leaves the village safely. After Yuji's leave, the chief contacts a mysterious person through magic, claiming that his plan to retrieve the Dragon Grace is still unaffected, planning to use it to cleanse the tainted world. Yuji and his crew are looking forward to Ricardo, which was supposed to be just close, but are kinda disappointed after finding the whole place simply covered in snow. Yuji approaches the town's premise and comes to know that this snow is out of the ordinary, and the whole town got covered in only 10 days. He visits a local restaurant to get something to eat, but comes to know that all the firewood is spent on heating the town, leaving none for the restaurant. Yuji follows his determination for top-notch food and cuts multiple trees outside the town, using the slime to dry them off. Yuji brings the wood back to the restaurant, and upon the head chef's claim, moisturizes the extremely dry wood to make it ideal. Yuji receives an exquisite steak in return, and upon the chef's reveal of the shortage of firewood being the reason for the restaurant's closure, Yuji takes on a quest to gather more firewood for the whole town from the Adventurers Guild, and gets to work for his desire to enjoy the head chef's even better meals. Yuji's Isekai life continues, with many more adventures looking his way.